Hello, guys. Today, our guest is Vincenzo Toscana, and he's my good friend, and he's doing great job. One of the most popular guy on the Amazon e-commerce ecosystem. Vincenzo, welcome to SellerSprite. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me, Junction. It's a pleasure. Whenever I always see you at different events or online, I always have a ton of fun. So I'm sure today is not going to be any different. So looking forward to it.
Exactly. We met in different places in China, Guangzhou, Istanbul, Turkey, and looking forward to. I see every day you're posting Jordan, Texas, Nevada, Europe, and I just.
Yeah.
Is there any meeting you are missing?
I get this question a lot. Yeah, like actually one of the few things I always get when I jump on a meeting, people say, do you have like a clone? Do you have like a twin brother that is hidden somewhere? Because people don't understand how I travel so much. But for me, like I love networking. For me, when it comes to interacting with people, it's one of the things that drive me the most when it comes to business. And that's why I love events, like the fact that I can get to be around other like-minded people, get to learn from them, share some experiences. I think that's the beauty of also e-commerce, that you can travel and work at the same time. And it's been an amazing journey. So I'm super thankful. Yeah.
Good. I'm gonna say at the end of video, maybe in the coming minutes, I will say something. Let's go and can you give a little bit info about you, what you are doing, how you came to Amazon, and what you are doing today?
Yeah, so basically I've been in the space for close to 7 years now. I jump in the space. I come from an engineering background. I'm actually an aerospace engineer by trade, and I become basically an entrepreneur by chance, in the sense I want to do something on the side. And I come from a family that's always been also very entrepreneur driven. So I started, selling products online. I started to figure out online that ways to do money could be Amazon. So I started selling random products here and there until I reached a point that some of those products started to become very successful. And essentially what happened moving along with the process is that I reached a point that I was making essentially more money with my engineering job. And I decided to go all in. I quit my job. Like I remember one week I was like, I really need to make this jump because I feel like something bigger. And I resign, and then I go all in on e-commerce, like every single day, 12 hours of podcasts, YouTube, going to masterminds, events, like devouring as much information as possible. And eventually what happened is, because I was interacting with people in the space, I started to realize that not only you could make a business around the fact that you can sell your own products, but I saw there were a lot of people that had amazing businesses, like brands, products, and everything. But they really struggle to do execution and really have a team to manage the whole operation, right? So what I did is essentially, I said, okay, I know what are some of the processes, I know what has to be done. Why don't I come up with some essentially strategy for these people and become a consultant, essentially? And that's where it comes to. Basically, it was founded. To date, we have worked with over 1,000 brands. Our team is like close to 50 people now. We're across all the main regions where Amazon operates. And our main core offering as an agency is that basically we approach your brand from a holistic perspective. So not only we do the PPC side of things, but we also help you with the content. We also help you with the international expansion, the backend, the logistics. We just make sure that all the things are in place so you can have a successful journey on Amazon and also Walmart. So yeah, it's been an exciting journey, and I feel like there's so much more that we have ahead of us. So yeah, can't wait.
Yeah. Just last time I asked that question to you. As far as I remember, there were 50 brands, or how many brands do you manage nowadays?
Yeah. Right now, over 50 brands. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
50 brands. And meanwhile, all the total revenue as far as
9. Yeah, so we have a portfolio right now of over 9 figures. Yeah, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I look at you, I see 9-figure. Yeah, for
that's a good one.
Amazon the seller, I don't know many guys doing 9-figure. I don't mean the agents, but the personal guys. I knew a few. I know the Carlos Alvarez.
Yep.
He was the great guy before. I was attending all the meetings, and I knew the 9-figure. Just maybe a few beside. Let's go to Amazon. Nowadays, if you are gonna launch the product, how do you approach? How do you evaluate? And could you just briefly mention about launching new product?
Sure, of course. So I would say something we have to be mindful when it comes to launching a product on Amazon is that, first of all, the panorama is completely different compared to what you might find out there, which is most of the content is dated to the era of 2014-15, which is a traditional. You just go to Alibaba, you get a product, you put a logo, you put it on Amazon, and you're ready. Like those days are over. Like you really now have to properly strategize your launch, and that goes side by side with what product you actually launch in the first place. Because what I'm going to describe next, which is the strategy high level, doesn't essentially is going to be executed correctly if the fundamental, which is the product itself, essentially doesn't have the essence that is going to make it successful in the first place. What are those things that make a product successful on Amazon? The first thing is that you need to really come up with something that fills a gap in the market. So you're not gonna go to China and essentially source the same product, and only because you're gonna do a nicer image or a nicer packaging, people's gonna buy your product against your competitor. Because most likely, if you do that, the same is gonna be done by hundreds of people, and most likely there's already a person on Amazon that has thousands of reviews and they have a very strong organic position, right? So therefore, that's not gonna be an effective methodology. One of the things you have to do, which I recommend everybody, go to Amazon, figure out what are the reviews of your main competitors, or what are the things that people complain about, what are some of the things that people love about the product. You can use, for example, ChatGPT to do this, and then you come up with the pain points that then you go to China and you try to manufacture a product that is different. That's the first thing. The second thing, try to find a product that is social commerce friendly, which is part of what is going to be our launch strategy, because I feel the days of only relying on Amazon as a traffic source and eventually becoming tougher and tougher. So much competition, this kind of big monopolies on some of the categories. You really need to come up with a product that is very friendly when it comes to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, other platforms in terms of generating content, because content is king. If you work with the right influencers and you position that content in the right placement, you can create what we call the snowball effect, or from a branding side of things, that people start trying your product, even if your product is very similar to other generic brands. You really want to create a lifestyle, a reason behind why your brand exists in the first place, and what is the mission that you're trying to pursue in that specific category. And the third thing, so we already talked about the fact that it has to be unique from the perspective of bringing something to the market. Then the branding, this side that has to be friendly from the side of social commerce, like very trendy, very easy to communicate what the product does here and there. And the third one, which I feel is one of the things that is the most important, is also having an expansion opportunity. What do I mean by this? When it comes to Amazon, one of the things that's going to make us successful is coming into a category where not only you're going to start with that product and that's it, but that product by nature has ramification around the product. You can create a family. So for example, if you start selling a yoga mat, then the yoga mat, you can then launch your yoga blocks, your yoga belts, yoga accessories, and there's a whole universe around your product. So why this is important? Because you want to have options, first to diversify, and second to upsell your clients, because that's where the profit is made, in the lifetime value. If you acquire a customer for the first time and they are within your universe, upselling other products is going to be so much easier. So if you track these three fundamentals, then you are set for launch, which is what I'm going to describe next. Because I feel if you get these three things wrong, whatever I'm going to describe next in terms of strategy is not going to work, because essentially the structure of the building is not going to be stable. So by the time you build the building, it's going to come down. So
yeah, just here I would like to emphasize, guys. Actually, I asked a question about the launch to Vincenzo, but he was mentioning something else.
Exactly.
Because this is the basic and the fundamental fact that we maybe call it pre-launch or pre-launch packages. Like if you should have, if you don't have this kind of the product unique and the blah blah features, then your launch will be much more difficult. Therefore, it's very important to have this kind of features for the product. And the next one is, when I started on Amazon 2018, we found the yoga mats. That time I still remember we didn't sell that product, but that time it was very easy. Like maybe the sellers were on the 1,000 review or something like that. But if you go nowadays, I believe like 100K reviews, even more.
Yeah.
Reviews nowadays.
Super competitive, so don't do yoga mats. Yeah, it's one of the worst products.
Yeah, I also want to say that if you find a product and is the product like compatible with that or related, like yoga ball or yoga accessories, it will be easy for you to brand it as well. Because someone buy yoga mat from you, next product he can buy from you like yoga ball, yoga towel, or yoga accessories, etc. It's also helping for branding, right?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. And I think once we get the fundamentals right, that's where we're going to the launch. And the launch, guys, is going to be a ramification of three methodologies, okay? The first methodology of launch is you have to make sure, essentially from an ACO perspective, you are as optimized as possible. Because even if from a launch perspective, all is the focus around PPC, external traffic, if you don't have the fundamentals of your listing correctly, then also that's not going to allow you to get the amount of extra traffic in terms of from an organic perspective, how you're going to get positioned to then sell your product for success in the long term. So what do I mean by that? You need to make sure from day one that your listing has the best keywords on it, right? And this means from the perspective of making sure you place them correctly on the title, the most important, the bullet points, the description, the backend search terms, because if you don't do that, the listing when it comes to launching, first of all, is not going to index on the right keywords. Second of all, when you start launching a product, there's something called the honeymoon period. It's a moment in time where Amazon doesn't have a lot of information about your product. Therefore, they give you like the benefit of the doubt, given that they don't really know how your product is going to perform. They're going to position you higher across some of the keywords. But for that to happen, you have to have the right keywords in the listing. That's why the listing is part of the launch. And the thing within the listing itself is not only about the copy, guys. You also need to make sure you have the best images possible. Like, this is something I tell you with so much experience when it comes to launches. Like, one of the things that can really break your launch is not having good images, because you as a consumer, put yourself in the shoes of your consumer. If you go to Amazon, you cannot touch the product, you cannot feel the product, and then on top of that, the image look like very bad in the sense of the quality, the overlays, the text. It looks like very kind of Chinese cheap kind of product. Like, in the first way, you're gonna have a ton of basically difficulties when it comes to converting the client, because not only you have done a very bad first impression, but when it comes to basically explaining to a customer, I have no reviews, but on top of that, my images are bad. Why should I choose in the first place, right? So that's the number one area, guys. You need to spend the most money. Images, like, without any question. If you have to sacrifice other things, do it. But images always have to be perfect condition, because that's what really can fully change the momentum of your business. Now, going back to the launch itself in terms of execution. When it comes to launch, the other two areas is essentially the PPC side of things and what we do outside of the PPC area, which is the third part. When it comes to PPC, when we launch a product on Amazon, you want to make sure you identify which are those keywords you want to get positioned organically on, right? Because the only way you're going to be profitable on Amazon is by creating an asset. And the asset is the history in terms of where your product is shown from a keyword perspective. You need to be shown among the main keywords. If you don't, like, there's no point on getting as many sales as you can to advertising. Eventually, that's going to fade away, or you're going to burn a lot of money, and the product's not going to basically be able to get its own momentum. So from a PPC perspective, when you launch a product, identify those 5 to 10 keywords, which the way you do that, you do a market analysis on your top competitors, and then you realize which are the keywords where they're on page 1, which by studies, multiple studies, 70 to 90% of sales happen on page 1. So that means if they're on page 1, that's where the money is coming from. And once you identify those keywords, you want to make sure you target it from a PPC perspective. And to finalize my strategy from a PPC perspective for the first month, I always do only exact match campaigns on my top 10 keywords. The reason why that's so important, first of all, is because I want to position myself among the main keywords. But the second thing, guys, is before you do any broad phrase automatic campaigns, you want to create a very strong link between your product and between the keywords. So Amazon knows, like, these are the keywords the product is related to. Therefore, when you start opening the horizon to new type of targeting, the algorithm is going to be even more accurate and smart about it. So that's from a PPC perspective. Of course, something I add on top of this to make it even more effective is I go top of the search to make sure I show top of the search of the keyword. I also use fixed bids, because if you use down only, for example, yes, you might lower the bid and always pay the highest click. But the thing is, when you use fixed bid, if your conversion at the beginning is not very good, Amazon by nature is going to lower the bid, because they know you're not going to convert, and therefore you're not going to win consistently the placement. So use fixed bids. And the third thing is pricing. Try to go 40%, 50% off if you can. Like, you're going to lose money, guys, during launch, but it's an investment. It's an investment to create that momentum, so long time you can be profitable. So this is the second part, and before I go into the third one, I want to stop here. This is a little bit what I do from a PPC perspective when it comes to launch. Yeah.
Okay. There is third part, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's correct.
Let's go. I also get very good.
Yeah.
So let's go to the third one.
Yeah, so as I said, just to create a summary so far, the first one is about the indexation and the SEO around your listing. That's part of the launch. The second one is the PPC side of things, making sure you basically get positioned organically among the main keywords. And the third one will be external exposure. Why this is important? Because you're going to find that Amazon also basically give you extra benefits when you bring traffic to the platform, because another day, more clients for them, right? More money. So how you can do this? There's many methodologies out there. Like, it really comes down as well to your budget. But one of the easiest ways of doing it is, for example, starting with things such as influencer marketing, right? There are many platforms out there. Like, for example, one that we use is called Levanta, just to give you some quick actions for you to take home and implement. And then that means this is databases of people, influencers, that they will get your product, you will give them a coupon, and they will show it to the community in exchange of essentially commission on the sales. So the nice thing of this is that you get basically only to pay these influencers when the sale happens. It's not very expensive upfront investment. So you can find like 10, 15, 20 influencers. You say, I give you 20, 30% of every single sale you do. And this is done through something, by the way, guys, just to add some technicality in terms of how this works, called Amazon Attribution. Amazon Attribution is a system that Amazon has specifically designed for you to bring traffic from outside of Amazon to Amazon, and you can track it. So if Amazon have invested so much on these kind of tools, it's because essentially telling you, bring me traffic from outside, I'm going to basically give you a result in exchange, right? And the beauty of that is that if you do it in the United States, not only you can track it, but you have something extra called the Amazon Broad Referral Bonus. So that means Amazon gives back 10% of the sale value. So that means not only you can track which influencer works and which one doesn't work and only pay that, but also you get 10% of the sale back. So that's a huge rebate that essentially you can get back, and you can refuel that into getting more influencers or keep fueling that strategy. So that's the easiest way to do external traffic. Then if you want to go more deeper and more strategic, we also do PR releases and blogs, working with big publishers to put, let's say, these are the top 10 yoga mats, and ours is mentioned on the blog, and they have direct links to Amazon. We do YouTube with people that do unboxing, review products, video vlogs. We do as well Google Ads. We also do email campaigns if you have an email list. We also do Instagram and Facebook. So those, of course, require more budget and are more take more time to set up. But if you want something to get started as soon as possible, platforms such as Levanta, they connect you with influencers, and within pretty much 24 hours, you already can have some lineup, some influencers lineup, so they can feature your brand into the socials and essentially start creating the momentum that you need.
Yeah, I also know the Levanta here. One of my friends announced that, and they have some even the discount code. We want to cooperate. Before we did Amazon attribution, even back to 2021, I think. It was new that time. That time it didn't have keyword ranking. How is nowadays? Is there any positive effect for keyword ranking?
Yeah, so essentially, when it comes to external traffic, definitely during our launch phase, we see a benefit in organic ranking, but it also depends on the quality of the source. If you bring a ton of traffic and it doesn't convert well, essentially that's also going to be bad for the business, because on Amazon Ads, you're sending a ton of traffic, but that traffic is not basically generating stats for them. It's like, oh, you're sending traffic, but people is not finding your product interesting. So that's why you also have to control this, the volume and how this volume controls to make sure you can effectively scale it forward. Yeah.
Okay, good. Basically, we divided 3 parts: before launching, and the kind of expansion. What about the price? For example, when you are increasing price, for example, your target sales are 100 units a day, and you launch product today 40% down than you expected to be to sell, and you catch the 100 sales unit per day. And when will you increase your price?
Yeah, so essentially the pricing, something you have to do, guys, and it's part of the launch as well. You need to understand as well what are the budgets that you can allow for this strategy. What do I mean by this? A big mistake, unfortunately, which makes the launch also fail, is that you don't put aside enough cash to be able to do discounts, as you're mentioning, and also be able to fill the PPC that's going to be expensive. So when it comes to pricing, something I try to do in terms of time is at least the next 30 to 45 days, I want to be as aggressive as possible, because that's by multiple studies I have done, usually the time frame where honeymoon period is established and the history of your product becomes the most prominent towards the future. So that means for 30, 45 days, I need to make as many sales as possible. And therefore, the way you will calculate this is, okay, on average, how many sales I want to do per day? On average, how much a unit costs me? On average, if I do 50%, how much money I'm going to lose? And based on that, that's what's going to be your budget to basically set up your launch.
Okay, thank you. For next question, I would like to ask, do you notice or do you know the keyword ranking affected by organic sales or PPC sales? Do you know their weight?
Yeah, so essentially, I will say when it comes to organic ranking, PPC is definitely going to be the ones that's always going to bring you the most basically outcome. And then influencer marketing as well has, but from Amazon Ads in terms of what give the big jumps in the most short period of time is usually PPC for sure. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to next one, AI. I know I asked you before too, how do you use AI and how do you leverage into Amazon? Because nowadays it's really helping a lot for me. Also, I daily use for Amazon operation. And how do you use the AI for Amazon product selection, launching and managing, expansion, everything? What kind of AI you use? Can you mention about that, please?
Yeah, of course. So when it comes to AI, something that we use internally a lot is ChatGPT. So one of the things we use ChatGPT for is essentially The first thing is when it comes to, for example, product validation. Let's say a client says, "Oh, I want to launch a new product, or I want to expand my product lineup." ChatGPT is the best when it comes to that, because you can fuel information to ChatGPT and saying, "This is my brand. This is my goal as a brand. This is already what I'm saying, and this is the data around some of the documentation you can upload to ChatGPT." And you can come up with ideas in terms of how to make a product unique, how to diversify in terms of your expansion as a catalog, and also how to make it different, right? Differentiation point of view. So that's the first one. The second thing that you can use AI for is for images. Like, wow, that's been a game changer for us, because what you can do with that is that, let's say before you had to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a photography shooting, right? You need an image of a person in a specific background, in a specific location, here and there. Now with AI, you can replicate that image in a matter of seconds using things such as Midjourney, or for example, some of the partners we use in the space, such as eContent, very good when it comes to image generation. And then now you go from having this huge barrier of entry to be now so much lower, and that at the same time is so much extra opportunity for you, because now you can have very top level, like almost enterprise level quality of images with a fraction of the price, and you can also make so much faster when it comes to creating new content. That's the second one. The third one that we use also AI for, you can also use it for optimization of your PPC. There are many tools out there that use AI. I usually don't recommend fully automating PPC with AI, because it can get very technical from the perspective of only focusing on numbers and not really focusing on the context of the brand itself and the strategy. So sometimes you can dilute your efforts from a strategy point of view, but it can do a lot of the heavy lifting, right? It can do everything in terms of making sure that, for example, reporting, for example, identifying bleeding keywords, identifying bids that have to be changed, identifying keywords that have to be moved to campaign. So things that are more into the admin side of things, it can be super helpful. Now the other thing that we use AI for, and this is actually super useful as well, you can also use it for copy, right? So some of the things that we find is that, especially when Amazon sellers have to, let's say, expand to new regions. Let's say you are in the States and you now need to expand to Amazon Germany, Amazon France, Amazon Italy. If you don't know the languages, it can be very tough. And now with AI, you can basically do the heavy lifting, do the initial listing itself, like initial copy. And then of course, I always recommend you hire a proper copywriter from that country to check it, but it does most of the work, So it helps you to really create some nice structure to get the ball running. So when it comes to copy, it's also huge. Also, if you want to do content around your brand, like blogs, newsletters, AI is amazing. And the final thing, which is my preferred one, you can create your own ChatGPT for your brand. In fact, we do that for some of our brands. Like when we have enough information from the brand, like success stories from the brand, like the company information, some of the past years data, what they're trying to achieve, what is some of the goals, things like that. We put all that in ChatGPT and we create our custom closed loop. So this is not even connected to internet or connected to our own system. We can interact with it. It's essentially having like your own Alexa for your brand, and it knows everything about you, right? So if you need to ask a specific question, if you want to do a specific strategy, given that has access to all your information, it can be more tailored. So yeah, these are some of the essentially the implementation that we do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right, thank you. It's really very good, the techniques, and I have been also using some such ChatGPT functions, especially for knowing product understanding and the features, analyzing customers. For PPC, no, I didn't use AI, but for what you said, I also use that, the ChatGPT understand what's the product and what's the brand, and I always ask the same question, related the question always there. Okay, let's go to last question. You have an agency, and where are your agency members mainly from, and how do you manage them? Maybe you can go.
Yeah, of course. So my team, is actually all across. So we got people in the UK, people in Italy, people in France, in Germany, in Spain, in India, in Pakistan, in the Philippines, in China, Latin America, specifically Colombia, Venezuela, Mexico, USA, and in Canada we got a person. So it's very diverse. It's all around the world. The reason why I did it like that is because me being a seller myself identified that one of the main issues you have with e-commerce is that e-commerce never sleeps. It's 24/7. So if I put all my team in the same location, that means there were hours of the day that couldn't be really supervised because you have to sleep. We are all humans, right? Or you have to have your life. So essentially what I try to do is overlap when the people in Europe is not available, the people in the US and Latin America is available. When the people in US and America is not available, and then you have people in China and Asia as a whole. So you always have different transitions of time zones. So there's always somebody overseeing all the operations, and we make sure things have been executed. So that's a little bit of the strategy as well. Yeah.
Good, good. And you are coming China as far as understand, right?
End of October, I'm going to from the 24th to the 5th of November. So if anybody's around Guangzhou, I am also gonna go to Shenzhen to your offices to visit you. But yes, I'm gonna be around China, so it would be great to meet. Yeah, of course.
Sure, sure. Looking forward. Last time we couldn't meet here in Shenzhen. I think you attended Alibaba meeting or something like that in Shenzhen.
That's correct. We went to Alibaba headquarters. Yeah, was cool. Yeah.
It was the short time but this time waiting you to meet here in Shenzhen because really it's beautiful city, e-commerce and many meetings. It's if I think the Chinese guys know you more, they will invite you to come here to attend the meeting in Shenzhen, because in Shenzhen maybe you can find several meetings a week. Really.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, I love China. I think there's so much opportunity there as well. Like when it comes to sourcing and doing business as a whole, like I think the opportunities are still there. At the end of the day, something I found very cool as well about China, especially in the manufacturing, is that there's so much innovation. There's always new things coming up in terms of the manufacturing side of things, how they're getting around certain issues that is happening globally from a shipping perspective, from a tariff perspective. They're always, figuring out what are the next step. And that's why I feel like if you really are looking to figure out the best strategy from an e-commerce perspective, China is definitely the first place you always have to start with, because most of the business we work with is usually heavily rely on things from China. So you definitely have to be there. That's why maybe join me for the Canto Fair. Join Jalchin as well, and we can have some fun.
Exactly. Thank you, Vincenzo. Thank you for today. I learned really many things. Actually, when I talk with you, I ask many questions. Last time we talked, I asked several questions today also, and it's very, very great to talk with you. I always learn some new strategies and new techniques, the AI tools and the launching, everything. Thank you for bringing this valuable content here.
Pleasure, Yajin. Thank you so much for having me, and I can't wait to see you soon in China. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.